Okay, this is part 2, another help example for section 5.5, trigonometric equations. And this time we're finding all the solutions, but in a particular range, from 0 to 2 pi. So that's why it's going to be a little bit different. You only have to look for the solutions that are in that range. For the equation, 9 tangent squared x minus 3 equals 0. So the first thing we want to do is isolate the tangent function so we can then isolate the value of x. So we're going to use standard properties, add 3 to both sides. So then we have 9 times tangent squared x equals 3. We're still trying to isolate the tangent, so we want to divide by 9. So we have tangent squared x equals 3 over 9, which is the same as 1/3. And now we want to get rid of the square. Get rid of the square, you do the inverse operation, which is take the square root. So we're going to take the square root of both sides. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. But when you take the square root, you need to consider both positive and negative. You could have a positive or negative answer. Square root cancels the square on the left-hand side, so you're left with tangent of x equals plus or minus the square root of 1/3. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 3, you can just write as the square root of 3. So now, we still want the value of x, not the value of tangent of x. So we need to get rid of this tangent function. And one way to informally think about it, and I say informally because there are some restrictions on domain and such, is to take the tangent inverse to both sides. So I'm going to do that now. And remember, we're taking that of plus or minus the 1 over square root of 3. Okay? Tangent cancels out tangent inverse. I'm left with x equals the tangent inverse of positive 1 over the square root of 3 and the tangent inverse of negative 1 over the square root of 3. So, now, let's think about that. When you put that in your calculator, and you can put that in your calculator to get tangent inverse, or you can think about what value is going to get you 1 over square root of 3, which is also square root of 3 over 3. That's only giving you a reference angle. So when you put it in your calculator, for the positive answer, we're getting 30 degrees, or pi over 6. And I believe your book wants it in radians. That's giving you a reference angle. It's not going to give you both angles. So let's look at a picture. So that's giving a reference angle of pi over 6. So that's one angle, because tangent is positive in quadrant 1. But tangent is also positive in quadrant 3, because a negative over a negative is positive. So one answer is pi over 6, but another answer that has a reference angle also of pi over 6 is this angle here in green. Now here is pi, which is 1 pi, which is the same as 6 over 6 pi, but I'm going 1/6 more. So this angle is 7 pi over 6. So our answers for our thus far is pi over 6 and 7 pi over 6, and this is just for the positive 1 over the square root of 3. We now got to look at when is the tangent going to be negative for this same thing. Well, the reference angle is still 30 degrees or pi over 6, but we got to look at it about when is that going to be negative. So let's draw a little picture and think about it. So the tangent is going to be negative in quadrant 2. So that means this angle right here, this reference angle is pi over 6. But your actual angle is going to be from 0. So that's going to be, here is pi over 6, which not pi over 6, this is pi, which is the 6 over 6, but we want 1 short, so it's going to be 5 pi over 6. And this is negative because it's x over y, and one's positive, one's negative. That's one answer. So one of our answers for our negative angle is going to be, first of all, let me make a note that this is the reference angle. Our negative is going to be 5 pi over 6. Now, let's look for our second angle for the negative. In quadrant 4, the tangent is also going to be negative. So we have a reference angle of pi over 6 again. But we got to get the angle, you got to go all the way around. Now, over here is 2 pi. 2 pi is the same as 12 pi over 6. We don't want 12 pi over 6. We want 1/6 less. So this would be 11 pi over 6. So now our negative angle, another negative angle is 11 pi over 6. So our solutions are, here are all of our solutions. You have to include all of them. Pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6, and 11 pi over 6. All right. So, and that's usually what hangs up students, is getting all of those solutions. They often get one positive and one negative, but they don't think about all the quadrants. All right. See you next time, guys.